Happening now, the House Speaker Mike Johnson and Republicans just wrapped up a news conference here in Washington with the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy on this day 23 of the federal government shutdown. There's still partisan gridlock and no apparent exit strategy coming from either party. Americans missing out on paychecks and key government services, and some federal workers now actually going in line and relying on food pantries. Joining us now, Republican Congressman Steve Womack of Arkansas. He's a key member of the Appropriations Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. I want to get to the shutdown and some other issues, but first, I know you've been listening, like all of us have, to this news conference, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, the FBI Director, and others. What's your reaction to these charges now being leveled against these current and former NBA stars?
Well, it's stunning, Wolf. I want to congratulate Kash Patel and the investigative team that he has assembled and the New York City Police Department and all of those associated with it, because it is vitally important that we, take these kinds of issues out of the public. That being able to get to the bottom of some of this corruption is vital, I think, to the sports industry. I'm concerned about the impact it's going to have on the NBA. And let's just face it, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you open up gambling and sports betting and these sorts of things. I'm just stunned by it all, really, because you would like to think that these folks involved are honest brokers and doing what the public expects of them to do.
And I thought it was encouraging to hear the U.S. Attorney say the NBA has cooperated with the investigation. We'll see where it goes from here. Lots more information coming out, and we'll share that with our viewers. I want to turn, while I have you, Congressman, to the federal government shutdown, which is awful, as all of us know. What's your message to voters out there who gave your Republican Party control of Washington, the House, the Senate, the White House? And many of the folks out there are holding you Republicans responsible for the pain they're beginning to feel during this shutdown. What's your reaction to them?
Well, my reaction is pretty simple. And of course, I'm a member of the House. I'm a senior appropriator. We've done our job. In fact, we've done a lot more than our job from the appropriation standpoint. And we sent a clean CR over to the Senate. The issue, Wolf, is, as you well know, is a Senate issue. It's the Senate rule that you have to be able to overcome a filibuster of 60 votes, and we certainly don't have that. But we have a clean CR sitting over there, and we have had since the latter part of September. And it's really up to Senate Democrats to figure out that if they want to reopen the government, and if indeed they want to have a full-throated conversation about the issue that they seem to be dug in on right now, and that's the enhanced subsidies of the Affordable Care Act, that the only way that that's going to happen is to get this government reopened. And the only way to reopen that right now is to accept what the House sent to the Senate, and that is a clean CR. It's somewhat unprecedented here that a clean CR, the ticket to reopening the government, is not being at least received well by a lot of Senate Democrats. So if they'll just take up that issue, get us back to Washington, get us back to work, then we can have the conversations about some of these other larger issues.
I hear your criticism, strong criticism of the Democrats, Congressman, but what specific, concrete steps are members of your Republican Party, who control, as I said, the Congress and the White House, taking right now to actually end the shutdown?
Well, our narrative is going to have to change here pretty soon, Wolf, because our CR runs out on the 21st of November. So we're inside of a month right now before that talking point is not going to be appropriate anymore. Right now, to say that you can sign onto that CR, reopen government, we can get back to work on appropriations, that will be our narrative now for the next couple of weeks. But once we get into November, and that's fast approaching, then that talking point is probably going to have to go away, and it's going to come back to us as to having a different point of view. Now, I've got a solution for it. And I know this has been talked about by a lot of people, but we have three bills, 3 of the 12 appropriation bills, Ag, Ledge Branch, and Milcon VA. We have 3 bills that are in conference with the Senate. Those are very close to the finish line. I'd like for us to come back to work, reopen the government, and put those three bills on the floor. Maybe take the Jen Kiggins bill that guarantees the payment to our troops and put that with it. And then once again, send that over to the Senate. I think it would be difficult for Senate Democrats to vote against the veterans, to vote against paying our troops, and voting against reopening the government. Like I said, the only way we're going to be able to get to the structure of the issue that they have dug in on, Obamacare, enhanced subsidies, is to get the government reopened, get Congress back to work, and then have those conversations. Right now, their answer is we want $1.5 trillion of more spending without so much as a witness or a hearing on the matter. That is just unconscionable. That's not going to work. The only way it's going to come to fruition is if we get back to work.
All right, Republican Congressman Steve Womack of Arkansas, thanks very much for being patient with us. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll continue this conversation down the road, to be sure. Appreciate it very much.
My pleasure, Wolf.
And coming up...